Hello and welcome. In this video segment we will work through step 6 through 9 of tutorial 2. These steps will demonstrate how to set up the stock to be machined, spot drill, drill and tap the 6 holes. On the screen is the completed geometry for tutorial 2. For step 6 we're going to set up the stock to be machined. But before we do that, let's move up and select machine type followed by mill, and I'm going to select default. Moving over to the left side of the screen, I'm going to select the plus sign in front of properties and then pick stock setup. The first thing we're going to do is input the values for our stock. I'm going to click in the Y box, and for my Y type in 6.5 and then hit the tab key. For the X value, the length of our part, I'm going to type in 10.5. You can see it's tabbed over to the Z, the thickness of our stock. I'm going to type in 2.0. I've now tabbed over to the stock origin. We're going to leave that as is at X0, Y0, Z0. Moving on up, I'm going to turn the display on and also put a check mark against Fit Screen. Next, moving up to the top, I'm going to select the Tool Settings tab. Our feed calculation is going to be taken from Tool. If we move over to the right in the toolpath configuration area, I'm going to switch on assign tool numbers sequentially and also check mark warn of duplicate tool numbers. Moving on down now into the advanced options section, I'm going to check override defaults with modal values and switch on clearance, retract and the feed plane. Moving over to the sequence number, I'm going to change the start to 1 and the increments to 1 also. Everything looks great here. I'm going to go down the bottom and hit the OK button. Let's move on up and select the isometric view button followed by screen fit. As you can see, the red dashed lines represent the stock we've just set up. Let's move on up to the top now, and I'm going to select top view and again screen fit. For step 7 we're going to spot drill the 6 holes. I'm going to select tool paths and then drill toolpath. Moving over into the drill point selection dialog box, I'm going to pick mask on arc. Now the prompt select arc to match, I'm going to pick this top left hand circle. As you can see, it selected it and the diameter here is 0.48438. Next I'm going to draw a window around the whole part, and it's selected the remaining 5 holes. I'm going to move up to the top right hand side of the screen and select End Selection followed by OK. Next we need to select a tool. I'm going to move down and hit the Select Library Tool button. And what I'd like to demonstrate now is how we can use the filter to filter out a specific tool with a given diameter. First of all, in the Tool Types area, I'm going to select None to disable any previous tool selections, and then move on up now and select Spot Drill. Moving up into the tool diameter, you can see I have it set to equal and it's at 0.75. So everything looks fine here. I'm going to pick the OK button to exit, and it's filtered out the appropriate spot drill. I'm going to select this drill and then pick OK. As you can see, it's set to tool number 1, but for the length offset I'm going to change that to 1. I'm going to move on down to the comment section and type in spot drilling all 6 holes. Everything looks good here. What I'd like to do now is move over to simple drill, no peck. I'm going to turn on the clearance. As you can see, it's set to 2 inches and in absolute, so that's good. Moving on down, retract is absolute 0.1, that's great. Top of stock is 0 in absolute. Now, for the depth, we want to use the 0.75 diameter spot drill to chamfer the holes. So to calculate the depth, I'm going to select the calculator icon. Now for the finished diameter, what I'm going to do is change 0.75 to 0.625. I'm also going to move down and put a check mark against overwrite depth. I'm now going to select the OK button, and as you can see, it's input the correct depth for me. Moving up to our cycle, we have it set at drill countable, so everything looks great. I'm now going to press the OK button. Now, to change the order in which the holes are spot drilled, what I'm going to do is select the geometry. Next, when the drill points manager appears, I'm going to right mouse button and sort options. Moving on down, let me just move the dialog box. Moving on down to the bottom left corner, I'm going to select point to point. Just going to move this dialog box over here and then pick OK. Now for the prompt, select sorting start point. What I'm going to do is move over and select our top left hand hole. Everything's been sorted now, so I'm going to pick OK. Now, as you can see, over on the left hand side we've got a red cross. I'm going to move on up and select Regen All Dirty Operations. Let's move on to step 8. We're going to drill the holes now. Over on the left in the Toolpath Manager, I'm going to right mouse click and then pick Copy. As you can see, I've only got one operation selected. I'm going to hit right mouse click again, and this time paste. So we have 2 operations, and at present they're both exactly the same. For this second operation, what I'm going to do now is move into Parameters and select the Toolpath Parameters page. What we need to do now is set up the appropriate drill. I'm going to pick the Select Library tool and pick the Filter button. I'm going to select None and then move on up and pick Drill. For the tool diameter, I'm going to change that to Ignore. I'm going to move on down to the bottom and pick the OK button. And let's scroll down and find our 31/64 diameter drill. There it is. I'm going to select it and then move on over to the right and pick the OK button. First of all, we've got tool 2, and for the length offset I'm going to input 2. For the comment I'm going to type in drilling 6 So I've input my comment. Everything looks fine here. Let's move over to simple drill, no peck. Clearance is still on, set at 2. Retract 0.1. Top of stock is 0. The depth, I'm going to change that to -1.4. I'm going to move on down to the left here and switch on tip comp. Now I'm going to press the tip comp button. The breakthrough amount is set to 0.1. I'm just going to change it to 0. I'm going to pick OK. Let's move on up now to drill counterbore. And what I'm going to do is change this to peck drill. And for the peck amount, I'm going to change that to 0.2. Everything looks great here. Go down to the bottom, hit the OK button. And as you can see, we've got a red mark. Let's go on up top and do a regenerate all dirty operations. And everything looks great. Moving on to step 9. We're going to tap the holes. So over on the left in the toolpath manager you can see I've got the last operation with a check mark against it. I'm going to right click, copy, and right click again and pick paste. Now for our third operation I'm going to go into parameters. And let's move back to the toolpath parameters page. Now we need to go and select a 9/16 12 right hand tap. So let's pick select library tool. Let's use our filter. I'm going to pick none and move on up and select taps right hand. And let's put in equal, and I'm going to type in 9/16, enter, and then pick OK. So we have two selections here, 9/16 12 and 9/16 18. I'm going to pick the top one, the tool we want, and pick OK. Tool number 3, I'm going to change the offset to 3. Moving on down to the comment, tapping 6 9/16 diameter holes. Everything looks good here. Let's move over to the next page, peck drill full retract. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is change the cycle. Let's open up and we need to select tap. Clearance is fine. Moving on down, retract is good. Top of stock 0 is good. I'm going to change the depth to -1 and also move over and turn off the tip comp. Everything looks great here. Let's go down the bottom hit the check mark. As you can see, I've got a red cross down here. Let's move on up and do a regen. Let's go and verify the tool motions we've created. I'm going to move over and select all operations, then back up to the right, and what we'll do is verify our 3 operations. I'm going to move on up to the toolbar, get an isometric view. In the verify dialog box, I'm going to slow the speed down and then move on up to the top and hit the machine button, the play button. Up first is our spot drill operation, followed by peg drilling, and finally our tapping. I'm going to pick OK, and that completes this video segment. Thanks for watching.